Example 7. The length of a rectangle is equal to triple the width. Which system of equation can be used to find the dimensions of a rectangle if the perimeter is 86 centimeters? All right, so this one is another challenging one. You just got to think about splitting it up into two equations and then using your strategies after you've written them. But the writing them is the most important part so that you can solve them many different ways. All right, so we need to know a couple things about, we're talking about rectangle, we're talking about the sides, we're talking about the perimeter, okay? So what do you know about rectangles? Okay, so think about that. If you have a rectangle, this color isn't the best, let me pick a different one. All right, so we know we have the width, there's two widths, and we have the length, there's two lengths. And then in order to get the perimeter, we know we're going to have to add up the two widths plus the two lengths. Okay, so this is what we're going to use to help us with this problem. So this is knowledge that we already have that we're going to have to use to solve this math problem. So that's where a lot of students kind of struggle, is because they're not using the prior knowledge. Even though you have it, you're just not thinking about it. So you got to know these things about perimeter and how length and width are related to them with a rectangle. All right, so now I'm ready to set it up. So the length, so L of a rectangle, is equal to triple, so that means triple means to multiply by 3, W. So that's my first equation. I'm going to write it over here. L equals 3W. All right, and then the other one is the length and width can be used to find the perimeters, P, which equals 86. Well, P, the perimeter, is 86, so 86 equals 2W plus 2L. All right, so now I can solve this system using whatever method I want. So since I know that this is what L is, I'm going to substitute it in for L in this equation. So I'll have 86 equals 2W plus 2 times 3W. So let's solve. We're first going to distribute here. So 2W plus 2 times 3W is 6W. Combine like terms. So 86 equals 2W plus 6W is 8W. Divide by 8. Use your calculator. 86 divided by 8. And that's 10.75. So we know the width of our rectangle is 10.75. All right, now let's find the length. So we have L equals 3 times 10.75. So L equals, take your answer, multiply it by 3, use your calculator, 32.25. And so the question was, which system of equation could be used to solve this problem? So really, just setting up our problem was answering our question. But if they asked what is the length and the length is 32.25 and the width is 10.75 of the rectangle. And you could check that by doing 32.25 times 2 and then adding that to 10.75 times 2. And I'm doing that in my calculator right now. And that does equal 86, so it does work. All right, last problem, example 8. Judith bought 38 apples and pineapples. She bought 8 more pineapples than she did apples. How many of each fruit did she buy? All right, so she bought 38 apples and pineapples. So 38, A plus P. So A plus P equals 38. So that first equation is for our total number. Then we have she bought 8 more pineapples than she did apples. So that means 8 more pineapples than she did apples. So if we take the apples, because the word than, that means we're going to switch it. All right, that word than. So if we take the apples and add 8 to it, that will equal how many pineapples because she bought 8 more pineapples than apples. So if we take the number of apples and add 8 to it, we get pineapples. Another way you could set it up is to say P minus 8 equals A. So whichever one makes sense to you. All right, so let's solve. I'm going to multiply this bottom one. No, I'm going to substitute. Since we know this is what P equals, we can substitute this in for P. So I'm going to rewrite this top one. Kind of wrote in the middle, didn't leave myself room. A plus 8 equals 38. I'm just taking this, A plus 8, and plugging it in right here for P. So I did A plus 8 equals 38. So combine like terms. A plus A is 2A. Bring down my plus 8 equals 38. Subtract 8 from both sides. So we get 2A equals 30. Divide by 2. And we get A equals 15. So that means she bought 15 apples. Can we figure out how many pineapples she bought? Yes, we can plug it in. So 15 plus P equals 38. Subtract 15. 38 minus 15 is 23. Whew. Sorry guys, I'm struggling with the tablet today. Alright, so complete sentence. How many of each fruit did she buy? Judith purchased 15 apples and 23 pineapples. And sorry again, it's so messy. This tablet is not my friend today. Alright, word problems. Read carefully, set up 2 equations. Sometimes they're in standard form, sometimes they're in slope-intercept form. It just depends on each problem is different. Once you have the 2 problems written out, you decide which strategy you're going to use to solve. Either solve with elimination if they're both in standard form, or if you have one solved for one of your variables like A equals or B equals or X equals or Y equals, then you would just use substitution by plugging it in. So really you got to set them up before you decide how to solve. Of course, if I went too fast, you can always go back and replay any of these videos that you need. And now you're going to do some practice, and there should be a couple from each different type. All right? And I hope to see you at my help session at the end of this week.